everyone, and welcome to another episode of All Too Well Read.
Yay! Second episode out now. Can't believe it. Wow. What a time. We released our first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Nuts. And now we just get to vibe for the rest of the time.
It feels really great. Yes, our first episode released yesterday. And there's something about it. It's just something to really just soak in and celebrate, and just thankful for all of the people that have decided to listen to episode 1. I have two friends who listened and they never even read Crescent City. I'm just I feel so loved by such a thing. So, it's just crazy to think that we're here. I remember last year we were really all year we were reading books together, but we both were going through our own existential crisis. We were using books to cope with what was going on. It was the highlight of our year was books. And it's just so crazy that this thing that was once an escape is now the very thing that's fueling so much of our creativity. You're writing a book. I'm trying to do the Bookstagram thing.
You are.
Writing thing. I am. You're right.
I are. You're not trying.
Give myself credit, but it's just so fun now. Our relationship with books, always special, but now we're channeling it into a whole new energy. And it's just really exciting to be here, to keep making episodes and to keep reading books.
I couldn't have said it any better myself, Chris, because I had that reflective moment as well. Especially I think it was the day before our release, and I was just outside and I was just looking, my eyes were closed, but I was looking up at the sun, letting it heal me. And I was just thinking about where we were at this time last year, then let alone summer, right? And what a complete 180 life has become. And it's just such a surreal feeling. It's just the power of books, honestly. And I will always be in awe of the power of books. And I've always known our relationship with books have always been there for us. But it's now such a big part of our lives. And I mean, gosh, I remember you having this dream of you're I just want to talk about books. What the fuck? I'm okay, then let's talk about books. And now it's finally I feel we both now are finally in the place, because we couldn't talk about books last summer. We were still going through our dark night of the soul. We were still moving on our own journey. And also, now that I know your birth chart too, we both went through our Saturn returns at the same time. We both have our Saturns in Aquarius, which I find to be so interesting. I'm no wonder why we're just on the same parallel trajectory of life all the time. I don't know if anyone listening has a friend like that, but I feel Chris and I are very much those types of friends, different tracks, different flavors, but they're right next to each other. We're still going through always very similar things. And this time last March, I think I was rereading ACOTAR because I couldn't leave yet, and figuring out what the fuck I was doing with my life. And now I'm writing a whole book. I spent all morning fun writing more of it, which has been so nice because I've been such a rut. Not a rut. I think I'm just coming up at a more challenging part of my book for me that I'm finally moving through, which is so awesome. But then researching okay, how to self-publish, all this stuff. And I'm literally, what the fuck? I was literally crying every single day this time last year, not knowing what I was doing. And now here we are. We have a whole book podcast, and now we get to take our conversations out of Marco Polo and come here. And it's fucking awesome.
It really is. And I'm just so proud of you with the whole book thing. I'm just excited. I'm really excited for you. I'm so proud of you. I have loved every minute of reading your book. And Yeah, I have. And it's so good. And we're going to talk about contemporary romance in general later. But I am so happy that my friend is writing a badass, awesome contemporary romance. And you know what? When you were saying too, you were just like talking about like where we were, like to bring Throne of Glass into it, just got to do it. Give me like
do it.
3 minutes. We were very much Aelin on the roof, in Wendelin, just not knowing what our life and existence was. And I really think that the main character energy of Aelin, Manon, Manon, whatever, like really did something to us. Like you felt connected to Aelin, I felt connected to Manon. And there was just something about seeing such a badass character and like living in it and wanting to have that like total vibe and attitude in our own life. I really think that helped me a whole lot. So when like there's a part where like Dorian is, to mention Dorian too, there's a part in the books where he was afraid of who he was. He wasn't sure if he was human or not. And I forget who asked him, but I think it was Manon, like, who do you wish to be? And that question, like, just like always lingers in my head. Like, it's such a simple question, but like, who do you wish to be? And he said, someone worthy of my friends and someone worthy of like a king worthy of his kingdom or whatever. And I just like, I really feel like we're in the main character energy time, literally, figuratively, whatever you want to say. But I know that you've been talking about Pisces season and kind of works with this whole theme too. It is Pisces season. By the time this releases, it will be over in like 1 or 2 days.
Yeah,
so I am
the
really
very end. Your birthday's the very end of Pisces season.
Yeah, so I'm just excited to hear from you about Pisces season. Maybe tell us a little bit about like your journey with astrology. I know that's probably a longer story for maybe this podcast, but love for you to introduce like to our audience, like a little about who you are, like what you're passionate about, and then like just give us a little rundown on what this season's all about.
You just said so many amazing things.
Chatty Cathy.
No, the best Chatty Cathy. I'm a Leo. Like all the praise, I'm like, girl, hit me right in the heart. But truly, I couldn't have said it better that we are Aelin on the like drunk on the roof in Wendelin in the beginning of Air of Fire. Like that is exactly where we were. And I can't thank you enough for saying all those kind things about my book, because this is that I literally went from like drunk Aelin on the roof to then like having this, I'm like, we had our book trip where we didn't also realize when we planned this, but like we went to Denver. We were in like the Breckenridge area when we were reading Kingdom of Ash, and we were like, how did we wind up in like Terracin, like real life Terracin? Like, what? Because we planned this, and then we started talking about it when we were reading Crown of Midnight. So like we were definitely like not there. And so how we went up there was crazy. But anyway, I just wanted to say like I started when we went on that book trip, I was definitely like, we were drunk on the roof in Wendelin. And then after this trip and like having that girl time and having our time together and like reading and finishing one of the best series I've ever read in my life. Afterwards, we had all these talks coming out of it, and it's like, okay, well, like, what do we want to like do, right? Like, we're kind of like, we've been floating around for a while, and like Throne of Glass really like carried us and nurtured us and like inspired so much within us, right? Because especially for me, like I'm a sucker for a girl finding herself in any book. Like that's probably one of my favorite types of books to read, is reading about a girl who believes that she's lost and realizing that she's always known the way. So Aelin's stories always like hit me, and like that really carried me, just as the little question that Dorian asked you has really been carrying you. And or Manon Astorian. And one of the biggest shifts that I was able to make of going from like a girl not going anywhere to, just to put it plainly, not that I wasn't going anywhere, but like she was just struggling, right? To a girl like writing a whole book, like over 60,000 words in, which is fucking nuts. Again, like I just like can't believe. And like Chris is also the only person that has read my work, just because as a projector, we'll get into human design stuff in another episode, but like as a projector, I'm like, if this sucks, like I need to know now. Like I can't put all of this time and energy into something if it sucks. So Chris is my ultimate safe space. I suggest everyone finding their ultimate safe space. And so I'm just really grateful because she's reading like first draft. It's like really unwell, but she still loves me enough and tells me that it's good. God.
It is. I'm not lying.
I even told, but I was like, maybe I'll open up to my other friends, and I'm like, no, I can't yet. Because I'm like, even if it does suck, like I need you to tell me that it doesn't, because that's like the only way I'm going to continue to move forward. Anyway, but one of the biggest tools that have really helped me kind of get out of my own way and like get out of this big creative rut is through astrology and working with the seasons that we're in and understanding what season we are in and how our own personal charts like relate to what is going on in the world around us. I found astrology back. I mean, my mom always grew up like reading she would read in the like our horoscopes in the newspaper. And she always like loved that. So I always like was familiar with like, I am a Leo, my mom is a Cancer. And my brother, my dad are all three fire signs. I'm a Leo, my dad's an Aries, my brother's Sagittarius. I'm like, my poor mother. She literally was just doing her best as our cute little water sign, holding down the fort. Astrology came into my life as like a way that like had life make sense and had me make sense. And I was a sucker for a girl. I'm always trying to learn about myself. I'm always trying to understand why I am the way that I am. And so astrology came in as this really cool way to understand why I am the way that I am. And then learning about all the other signs, I'm like, oh, how interesting. I can learn like why I get along with some people and I don't get along with others, or like what this season brings out in me. And we're in Pisces season right now. And our queen, Sarah J. Maas, is also a Pisces. And it makes so much sense, even though Chris is also our Pisces queen as well. But like Chris and Sarah J. Maas are both Pisces. And that makes me really happy.
I weirdly feel very honored to share a space with her in this manner.
It makes so much sense. And you're a Sagittarius rising, like our queen Taylor, and Taylor Swift is a Sagittarius sun. So like you're basically blessed.
No wonder I have good taste.
Literally. But Pisces season, like why I say it's so crazy, and I think what makes Sarah such a great writer and you a great writer as well is because Pisces is truly like the season of like dreamers and believers. Like it really is this season all about like, especially Pisces is so rooted to the subconscious and the unseen and the in between. Like it blurs the lines between like our dreams and magic and like just making it all like, just like honestly, it's like magical realism, but just like the entire season of Pisces, right? Like there are little mermaids. So the fact that like Sarah J. Maas has created like an entire universe, right, of kingdoms and magic and courts and all this shit, it's like obviously it makes so much sense. And this is really a time, especially because it's the last zodiac of the year, right? Pisces is the last one, kind of holding down the fort and really kind of bringing to terms with how far we have come in this whole zodiac year. Because when we start fresh in Aries again, and that's why I don't necessarily like love to celebrate like the new year in January and set all of those intentions, because with the spring equinox in April with Aries season, well, with I guess March, but we really kind of bring this new energy and it just flows with the season so much better, because January, like we're still so like, we're very introspective, and kind of Pisces is rounding out that last bit of introspectiveness. Like we're really kind of like starting to dream about what this next year is going to bring about for us. And it's just like the most perfect time to daydream, like your biggest idea, create for the sake of creating, getting lost in the kind of art that moves you to tears. Like Pisces is like the ultimate romantic, float away on a cloud, like daydreamer vibes. Like I think of Pisces as like when I was younger, I don't know why this example comes to me, but like when you were younger and when you were like taking the bus to school and like you would look out the window and like I was just like not there anymore. I was just in worlds in my head. Or like when you're at the beach and like you are just like at the beach and you're just romanticizing everything. Like I'm like, oh, that lifeguard keeps looking at me. I mean, I'm like in my tankini, but I'm like, this is my new boyfriend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna splish splash in the water and see if he looks at me. Like they're just the ultimate romantic, the ultimate like fantasizing. And that's what makes this time just great for creating art and creating fiction, especially because you are taking, I think Pisces is like the perfect sign to like take those like maybe like grueling, like real life reality moments. I was kind of talking about that today. I was like, you know what's interesting? I can turn all of my failed sexcapades into like works of art and like romance. And like that's the art of like fiction.
Yeah.
That's kind of what Pisces season is like bringing out in all of us. How does that resonate with you, like as a person?
My gosh. So, I mean, so much what you said. I mean, first of all, the whole like springtime, like this time, like launching like March, like there's something for me specifically, like being born on the first day of spring, that's always felt like it's like just like this like little like blessing or like wink from above, because I really put like a lot of stock into the transition from winter into spring. And I actually didn't know that Pisces was the last of the zodiac signs. So like that's like super cool to know. But also I've tried to describe to people how my like brain works. And I do feel like if I had to visualize, like inside my mind, I feel like there's like a castle and like a whole land. And half the time I'm just escaping there and like so like in my head, you know? So I don't know. Maybe I can write fantasy. I'm not sure. That's a question for another day.
You're right. Your mermaid beach romance.
Yeah, me and
I
my beach romance. There's just a lot of questions I have about that, but that's for another time. But
flush it out. We can flush it out.
Yeah. I have always been, you know, attracted to the mystery, the gray. I don't see things in black and white. I've always like felt this like longing to chase beauty and like beauty as like a magic. Like, I don't know. I love the great creativity vibe, I guess, of what this season means. And I just feel like I'm in it. It just feels very applicable. It feels exactly how like my reality feels. And I think it makes me just sit with like the fact that like, yes, I'm creating, but the things that like I need to let go of is like creating things that I think other people want to see, or creating things that the Bookstagram community wants to see. And even though I'm creating right now, I'm not going to the sources of the things that like truly inspire me, truly bring me to tears, truly like bring joy, like feel like magic. And so yeah, I think the fact that we're still in Pisces season while we're recording is like good, because it helps me to like think about how I should be channeling it maybe a little bit differently. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Oh, of course it does. It absolutely makes sense. And I love how you described like the inner workings of your mind, because it honestly reminded me of I Hate It Here by Taylor Swift. Like you are going to the secret gardens in your mind. And that's just like peak Pisces. Like as much like they are little creators and dreamers, and they're also like escape artists. Like they have like y'all just have a hard time being here because you're like, what the fuck is this? Like this 3-dimensional world where like this shit sucks. So like y'all do
angst.
love to like live in this other place. And especially for you, because like this is where I like to then take astrology. So like you have the season, right? And then you can go look at your chart and you can see kind of where the sun, so right now like the sun is illuminating the Pisces constellation. So like we see like where then in our personal charts Pisces is illuminating. So for me, Pisces is in the first house, which is a season of self-discovery, personal reinvention, and embodying my dreams, softening my edges, and embracing my most intuitive, creative self. So like, it's kind of funny that like during Pisces season, I'm kind of going through this giant rebrand. Like I'm shutting down my old podcast where it was just me and living unbound, and I'm working on my new website, and we're launching this, and like our podcast also now has a little like birth time. Like I can create a little chart for our like all too well read. And she's a Pisces too, which it makes so much sense.
Wow.
And for you, your sun, so Pisces season is coming in hella strong for you, but your Pisces, and the sun is illuminating your third house, meaning it's the time for inspired conversations, intuitive downloads, and dreamlike ideas. You want to really pay attention to synchronicities and messages and really getting into like creative writing and storytelling opportunities. Like you're a big communicator, like especially like I know you haven't been like maybe creative writing as much as you used to. This is like just coming from the friend that knows you, but like you just have a very poetic way with words. And so like really like bringing that in, and maybe because right now you don't feel like, okay, like I'm not like tapped in that. Like I feel like because you're also, this is the first time you're like sharing yourself globally, right? So it's like we're working through some of those like triggers of being seen, being accepted, and like all that stuff, right? But like for you too, it's like, okay, like what are ways that I can tap into my like secret garden, and like what is ready for me to actually like feel ready to share? Not all flowers are going to be blooming at the same time, right? So like really like kind of like having fun in that way and like bringing that. And so for everyone listening, you can go look up your chart on astrology.com and look at where Pisces is. It's like this, you know what? I'll display it somewhere. I'll put it in an image like somewhere on the screen so you can kind of see like what the Pisces symbol is, and then just look at what house it's mostly like, especially if you're looking at the Placidus house chart thing. I don't know why I can't find the words. If you're looking at the Placidus houses like system, sometimes you can have multiple houses, but you want to just look at the one where it's majority, like the real estate is the most, and that's where you want to be in. And I think it's just like a really interesting like idea to kind of play around with as like these themes are coming up. Have you been feeling that like call to maybe get a little deeper in those ways?
For sure. I have been thinking about like doing more writing again in the style that I have been used to or feels more authentic. I do think like there is this feeling with like putting yourself out in the world, like really coming to terms with like your identity and presenting like an authentic self. And what does that mean? Because the more I'm creative in a way that doesn't necessarily feel authentic to me, the more I feel like my creativity is suffering, but also just like my sense of identity suffers, you know? And so like, if I need to put something down to make sure that I am growing and dreaming and doing all things, because right now I am doing things that I've been dreaming about and it is exciting. It's just like sometimes when I show up to do something, I'm like, oh, engagement, oh, you know, like, oh, this trend is going around. Like, it's just very easy to quickly abandon your own self for what you think you should be doing and all that. So I think, I mean, this is just coming at an appropriate time of speaking to me, but is there anything that you think that would be like helpful examples of activities that people could do in this season to kind of like help fuel their creativity?
Totally. Well, I mean, anything to do with like finding art that I think like moves you. So whether that's reading a book, watching a movie, like journaling, reflecting, like this is a great time to just like reflect and dream really, really big. Like truly Pisces is like breaking down those barriers of like what being realistic is supposed to mean and like tearing that all down and being like, if I'm building like my dream life and my dream world, like what do I actually want that to look like? And like really letting yourself run wild, right? Like whether that's journaling again or like painting or like watching a movie that just like brings you to tears, going to a museum and just like surrounding yourself with like art and creativity. Like it's just like a really beautiful time. Or like you can be like me and like over the summer be like, fuck it, I'm going to write something. Because I also very much, Chris and I used to like, I feel like write in a very similar way. Like we had a lot of like poetic, like inspiring writing.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I never touched fiction before. I read a fuck ton, but like never like wrote my own fiction stuff since like school, you know? And so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do something completely different and like just write this out and just see where it goes and like letting yourself just like explore and create just for the sake of creating, right? Like creating just for you. And if it turns into something, it turns into something. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. I got that idea from Emily Henry book. When you read it, we'll talk about it. It's from Funny Story. But I think like the main character's brothers, they like moved to LA and they were going to like be like screenwriters. But instead of like writing something with all that pressure around it to sell it to someone, they were like, our first go at like writing something like this is going to be something like completely insane. Like I think they were writing about like a dystopian Smurf universe, right? Like they went like completely like off the walls. Like no one would ever buy this. Like I'm going to write something that no one is ever going to buy just so I can move through the process of saying like, oh, I can like finish this screenplay. Granted, I'm not trying to like, when I did do that, I was like, damn, this is good. I was like, I do want this. But like, that's how it started. Like, this was a project that I was just pouring myself into as simply like an outlet for me. And so anything that anyone can do to like pour into that and then also like feeding into that, your house sign. So it's like for you, it's like really like, like telling a story. I think like, even if it's in your journal, for me, it's like, really like diving into like and dreaming about like what is my like fullest like authenticity, like who am I reinventing myself into, like I'm totally ending this whole era of my life and I'm going into something else, like what do I want that to actually look like, you know? Like I could have a pen name if I wanted to, I guess, for this book, right? Like I don't fucking know, like who is this like new iteration of Megan that's kind of like taking space. And I think like that's kind of like really big themes. And then of course reading fiction I think is like the biggest and like most fun thing that we could do.
Yay.
Which I feel like takes us into contemporary romance, because I think a contemporary romance is like a Pisces, and of course fantasy and like romantasy too, but I think this time of year a contemporary romance is really nice.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This book was kind of a happy accident, I think. Contemporary romance has just been something that I have struggled with. And I don't know why, because like I've always loved a love story. I love a rom-com. I feel like my life has been full of romantic stories. I just don't know if like I can nail down specific authors or books that have like truly impacted me. One thing about contemporary romance is it seems to be a genre that is easily like trending. It gets a lot of hype all over my Bookstagram right now. And even before my Bookstagram, when I was like looking at reels, like it was like, you've got to read this, you've got to read this, you've got to read this. And it's so hard to like not want to jump on the train of like, I mean, we jumped on the ACOTAR train. That was amazing. We've jumped on the Fourth Wing train. Amazing.
No regrets of
No
those
regrets
trains at all.
whatsoever. That has that has definitely not disappointed. But I just remember last year, you and I, well, we did one, I will say, we did a summer of Emily Henry, and that was great.
Love Emily.
Big shout out to Emily Henry. Love that. But we were around like fall time and we really wanted like a fall vibe book. And one of the books that you had picked up was Pumpkin Spice Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh my God, the cover's so cute. Everyone is talking about it on my Instagram. I went to Barnes & Noble twice a week for 4 weeks straight. And every time they're like, sorry, we don't have it. It's trending right now. It's sold out. We keep selling out. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to read this book so bad. Like the hype was really real for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that they had like Cinnamon Bun Cafe and Christmas Tree Farm. And I panic bought them because I need to make sure that I'm with it. And you know what? Enjoyable. Was it like as incredible as everyone was saying? To me, it lacked. And then earlier this year, I picked up another contemporary romance from a very popular author, popular book series out there. I just really disliked it. So I just feel like right now there's a lot of like trending contemporary romance, and it's really hard to nail down which ones are like actually good. Like I just feel like there's a huge disconnect for me with a lot of things that people like love. And I'm not here to shit on what people love. It's not. What's out there right now isn't like landing with me. I don't know how you feel about like contemporary romance. Well, I do, but if you want to share a little bit more.
It's like we've had many discussions, but yes.
We have. What am I asking?
I'm to share my thoughts. No, I mean, I can't help but agree. Honestly, so like I've also, same as you, I've always been a romance girly. Like, especially, even though, like, so when I was younger in the YA section, of course, I loved a good, like, romance subplot. You know, I was reading Twilight. I was in my little Mediator books, you know. I love a romance subplot. And then when I was older, probably like college is when I started reading, like, contemporary romance and like some good beach reads. And again, because I'm a sucker for a story about a girl finding herself. And then of course she like happens to fall in love with the process. So I'm like, love. That's my favorite. And I don't know if it's been since my introduction to romantasy where now I get so like, yes, I love that my characters are falling in love. But there's also like the story and the depth is just so much deeper. Like they are going through like really big transformational journeys. Their character arcs are really like such a journey that we're moving through. And I think the plot is just plotting so much more that I feel like there's started to become a disconnect when I would go to contemporary romance. And I'm like, why does this female main character have one dimension? Why is every female main character that I read about in contemporary romance so insufferable? Like, I am never on the opposing, like, I am always a girly's girl, okay? I am never trying to ever be, like, disliking my main character ever. Because, like, low-key, then why am I reading this book? Like, I'm always on my, like, a girly's side. You know, this is, like, the journey that we're moving through together. And yeah, I want to say, like, since our, like, and of course I, like, loved our Emily Henry summer. She's, like, my contemporary romance queen. And we've just, since we went through her backlog, we've just kind of had a hard time, I feel like, finding our next author. And we, like, read our one fall romance, and it was, like, more like ghosts, but, like, not fall, which is then when we picked up Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I was like, okay, this is at least giving me more fall. And at least it's like it was like a Hallmark movie, but it had spice in it. I was like, how cozy is this?
Yeah.
But then, you know, after a minute, it just, by Christmas Tree Farm, things were bad. Like, things were really, really bad. And yeah, I've had a hard time as well, like trying to find my footing. And it saddens me because Megan, am writing contemporary romance. And I don't, and but like these books are really, really popular. So it's like, I don't know if it's just maybe I'm older, like we're women in our 30s. So like, yeah, I need a little bit more than just like lust or like I
Yeah.
need a little bit more than just like a man saying like, yeah, you're a total bitch, but like I still love you anyway. Like, and like no character development has happened. Like, I don't know if it's because we're just older and we're not in our, like, we just have a different perspective of how we're looking at love and looking at like relationships and men too. What I'm trying to say is like, think like the lack of plot in contemporary romance, or even just like the lack of character depth after coming out of like a genre where like these authors are like pouring their like heart and souls into these world building, like not only world building, but like character development. Then I feel like going to these contemporary romances, I'm like, did we write this in like 2 months? Like, I'm so confused about like the disconnect because this should be a story that I love.
Yeah.
And finally, and that's why I started writing contemporary romance, because I'm like, this can be better because it's one of my favorite genres. It's contemporary romance and romantasy. Like those are my two things. But my best gal friend, Angela, shout out to Angela. We'll probably mention her. At least I will mention her a lot. We'll all have to get together at some point. She was like, girl, you should pick up this book by Christina Lauren, Paradise Problem. And I'm like, and we just finished House of Flame and Shadow. And I was like, you know what? I really need a in-between because I'm like not ready to start Fourth Wing yet. I'm just leaving the Massiverse. Like, let me get a little palate cleanser. And I loved it. And I loved it. And I raved about it. And I was like, Chris, I need you to read this. I think you're actually going to really like it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you read it.
I just to like agree with you on, I think you made such great points about your observations of contemporary romance. I think you and I also have been in series into series into series, and we've had our like palate cleansers or whatever, but we have more than one book to see a character transform, to see a character grow, to see a character go from angsty and immature to believing in themselves and all of that, which I think is something that we really appreciate. And so when we have that background and then we're reading books that are actually maybe targeted for somebody in their early 20s, where it's one book, so you don't have that much time to like get to know the depth of the characters, I think it's just a very like extreme difference from like the main series books that we're reading. And I think too, like when you were talking about like maybe it's like our age or what we're looking for in guys or whatever, like even when I go to the store and like pick up trending books, because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to pick up a trending book just because it's trending, but let me look at books, and if they're interesting to me and they're trending, like then I'll try them. That was like my second evolution. But I'm like reading this, I was like, maybe I love a morally gray man in fantasy, but like in real life, like these toxic. Oh no. And like again, like people can have their, their struggles, their like whatever points. I just think that context is also helpful for our struggle with it. But yes, you told me about the Paradise Problem, and I read it and I loved it, and it restored my faith in the genre. Shall we start?
Shall we dive in? Absolutely.
Shall we dive in?
Shall we dive in? Because yes, I will, like after I feel like fail after fail after fail, Paradise Problem was such a breath of fresh air, and it was just so enjoyable. Like I loved, and it's a standalone book. I'm like, okay, like, and it was so helpful because I'm like, this was one book, but I feel like it still hit all the things that like we want to see in our contemporary romance. And I don't know if it's like maybe Christina Lauren like took more time to like with the writing and like really like fleshed out her characters, like, or their characters, because it's two people, which I also thought was really fucking cool. But I loved it. I loved the setting. I loved our characters. I loved all the events. But I'll let you kind of take it away first before I dive into all of my things.
Yeah. Okay. So just like some backstory, I guess. We have Anna Green. She's our female main character. And she is recently unemployed. She is kind of struggling to make ends meet. Her father is ill and she's paying his medical bills. And then our male main character, Liam, or West, right? West?
Yeah.
Comes from a super wealthy family, has like legacy, money, all the things. And back in college, they actually got married because of like the housing benefits at school and being able to like, not live in a dorm and hate their lives. So, and then they get divorced, or so she thinks. And he knocks on the door a few years later and is like, hey, turns out they're not divorced. You should read the book because it's so much better than how I just described it. But she like agrees to go with him to his sister's wedding, like at this beautiful island. And in order to like make it like believable that she's married to him, he like gives her money to like buy the clothes, do all the things. And I love a transformation moment in anything that I see. But I also love in this story specifically that it's not like she changes who she is or she completely changes her appearance. She has pink hair and she continues to rock her pink hair. And she's just a really strong female main character.
Yes.
And I loved her. What about you?
Yeah, I immediately was just captivated by her. And I was like, thank God. Because again, I feel like I've been struggling with like insufferable female characters in these contemporary romances. And I just love how they wrote about her. She's an Aquarius. So my, astrology heart, I was like, of course she has pink hair. Of course she's an artist. Like that's kind of why she's like struggling to make ends meet. She, like painter. So she, went to art school, all this stuff, but like just having a hard time like getting her shit together in LA because art is hard. And yeah, like I was like, okay, this girl's like living my dream. This like hot man like comes back into my life who I was like married to, but like we were basically just glorified roommates because like convenience, like we love a convenient marriage. And then comes back in and is like, hey, I need you to go to this wedding with me and pretend to be my wife. And I was like, oh, this girl's living my dream. Her platinum fucking like black heavy ass card. She like gets every like shopping, but like she keeps her pink hair, which I loved. And I love just like, I loved the forced proximity. I love fake dating. I love it. I love it because it gives you that like the slow burn aspect. I feel like in just like a very like real way because it's like, we're not actually dating, but we have to put on a show that we are. So there is going to be all of these like touches and looks and kisses and like all of this stuff that kind of like adds to that tension. So It's just so good. It's so good. Liam's crazy fucking weird ass family. So well written because it's a wedding. There's like an event every night. I love how they described her outfits. Like,
yes.
They just did like a great job like painting this scene. And for reading a book in the middle of winter about being in like an island was also just so nice. Like
it made me want summer so bad.
Seriously, I'm like, get me out of here. Like I'm in a turtleneck fucking sweater. Like get me out of here. Like I want to go to a private island off the coast of Singapore. Like, but I also want to ride in my own little private cubby that they had. Like, it was just so good. Honestly, everything about this book worked for me. Truly.
Yeah. Yeah. I really loved it. I loved the chemistry too between our two main characters. I had physical like giddy moments like reacting, and like Christina Lauren, she like just put like little sprinkles like in each chapter, like building up in their attraction. But I was like, oh my gosh, like there's this one scene where in their like bungalow situation, you know, they have a shower, but it's kind of like visible. Like if you just like looked, like you can see like the person like showering or whatever. And, you know, they acknowledge it like, oh, okay. And he's like taking a shower and she's just like peeking, like, and like her inner thoughts about like, should I peek? Should I not? And, you know, I think, does he catch her? Do you remember?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he catches her. And then like, they're like laying in bed like later on and he's just like, before they go to sleep, and he's like, yeah, and I peeked too. And I was like, ah! And I don't know why.
I totally agree.
Yeah. So I just loved all of like the moments they had and like their rapport, their banter. They're looking out for each other too. Like she starts to care for him because like his family is insane. Just I couldn't even imagine. I could never like be in a room with them. But she like, you know, she starts to like care and for his well-being, and he cares for her, and he doesn't like how his family's treating her and all this. And so just like the attraction, but also like the love that builds is just, I was all about it.
No, it's so good. I totally agree. I feel like Christina Lauren did such a great job like building that. Because yeah, there was like, okay, they're like fake dating. But then there was like, there came this point where it was like, okay, like they're like friends. Like they are like true friends, like ride or die. They have each other's back through like the hella toxic wasteland that's Wes' family. And then like you had the intrigue of like, okay, like there's this really complicated backstory because originally she was, when they were living together, he was going to like, she was going to college to be a med student. So that's the lie that he wove to his family. So then like they're trying to also then like the pressure of like keeping up with the lie of like, oh yeah, like I'm in med school doing this. So like, oh, I'm busy with all this doctor stuff because she's not a doctor at all.
I know how to treat this jellyfish sting that your brother just had.
Like, I think they just did such a great job of like having all of these different like intricacies, right? Because there's like the looming, like, I'm not going to get my inheritance if you, because also that's the biggest like problem. Like, I can't get my inheritance of like a lot of fucking money if like they find out that this marriage is a sham, and like his father's like blackmailing him. And so like, there's just like, again, like there's just like, yes, they're falling in love, but I think what makes it better is like there's this deeper plot, right? There's this deeper, like a lot of tension and a lot of like stress. Like, okay, will they get away with this? Will they not? Like, will they be able to do this? Is he going to stay up with his dad? Like, is he not? Like, it's just, it was so well written. And the end was just so good. And the prologue was beautifully well written. Like, I just like, I loved it. I loved their story. I loved that it wasn't just like an immediate, like, oh, like fall first. Like, it was truly like this beautiful, like, organic. Like, of course, there was that initial like attraction towards each other, but it was like how the love grew. And then even after their like big moments of like, if you go and allow your dad to manipulate you in this way, like this just like isn't happening. Like, I'm not going to like stand here and like let you do this. So I'm going to bow out. And so I just like, the whole thing was just so beautiful. I loved every moment. And Liam is hot. Liam's hot.
Yes.
Liam's hot.
Very. And even going back to like our more recent like contemporary romance fails, it also shows that you can write quirky well.
Yes.
Because that is a bone we have to pick. That's but there's a lot of these books where our main character is like quirky and like kind of weird and like, let's like make her like Lorelai or, you know, New Girl, like Zoe Deschanel, like, and it's insufferable. It's not cute.
You said it absolutely perfectly, because that's it. I feel like a lot of authors are getting the two confused. And they're like, oh, I'm writing like a cute, quirky character. And like, for whatever reason, it's just, I don't know if it's like because they're trying too hard. I don't know if it's because they've never met a quirky person in real life that they've enjoyed. Like, I'm like, do they hate women? I don't know what's going on. But
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing. It's like they think they're writing a quirky character and it's coming across actually as insufferable. And Anna Green is the perfect example of how you can write a quirky character because she's funny, like, but she has her own, she marches to the beat of her own drum. Like, she truly is her own individual that does not fit into this world of like high society billionaire type of wealth, right? But like, she's written so well in such a relatable way that at no point I was like, ew, she's annoying. Never. Not a once. Like, I was never annoyed by her. I genuinely was like, no, I get it. And I think that is our biggest bone to pick, is like these quirky characters being written in a way that actually makes them, or like women that have anxiety, written in a way that makes them just so, I don't know how to describe it. But it's like, we're taking like things that are real and people and things that we struggle with, but it's almost like written in a way where it's exaggerated, but then like, okay, I have anxiety, but now I'm being written in as neurotic instead of like a girl with anxiety that's doing her best. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yeah, it is so hard to say. Like, I agree 100% with that, for sure. And I'm like struggling to like find the words to be able to like, for us to like explain it.
We can write a socially awkward character. You know what I mean? And like, that's fine, but it's coming across as like, I don't know the word. I literally don't know the word besides insufferable, but it's like,
yeah,
a little bit
like
of pathetic.
pull it together.
Yes.
Yeah. Pull it together. And again, like we all go through seasons where we need to be told to put it together too, but like it's at the expense of the story. Like, we're focusing so much on this state of just woe is me. I think it's a woe is me kind of like feeling. And the reader, you're just like frustrated because it's not feeling relatable. And that's what you want. Because like I struggle with anxiety. And so I should feel like some sense of like relatability, or like, oh my gosh, I see myself in this character. But it's just like, I don't know.
It's like, maybe like what's coming to me now, I'm like, maybe it's because like they're focused so much on like the shadow aspect. Like, we're really honing in on like the fact that like they have social anxiety, they're going through a really rough fucking time, and like that's the only thing that they forget to like, even when you're in that rough moment, like you still have those redeemable qualities. Like, they have their humor, or they have their like, there's something like their heart is still wide open, or like they're very spontaneous and like they'll like just say like yes to everything. Like, I feel like you have to have the balance of both. Like, yes, we're like struggling and we're moving through it and like shit's really weird, but even in that dark space, there's those points about the person that's like, yeah, I can understand why this girl has a best friend that absolutely loves her. Because sometimes I'm like, how do you have a friend right now? Because like the negativity that is just like pouring out of you is really fucking hot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think like that, not to bring Sarah J. Maas into it, Nesta's a great example. Like, Nesta, like at first when we're writing, or even like, you know what, before we get into Nesta, we can talk about Feyre. Like, Feyre also starts out as like a weaker character, right? Like, she's struggling, you know, she's hunting for her family, but like there's still these aspects of her that you still like. Like, maybe I didn't always see myself in Feyre, but like she still had this like drive or ambition, and like she didn't give up easily. Like, yeah, she couldn't read, but like she still had this like, she still painted, like she just didn't use words, like she painted her emotions, and like there were still like glimmers of a person that made them redeemable and like made you want to root for them. And I think sometimes with these characters in the beginning of these stories, we're just having a hard time like marrying those two aspects together, like marrying the shadows with those redeemable parts. And we're just honing on the struggles. And so I'm like, why am I even rooting for this person? I don't even think I would go and get coffee with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think that was very well said. And I think that definitely like pulls all of the things we were trying to get at. Like, I think that that's so good. And also, just like to add to that, because you were talking about like our female like main character situation. Liam is written so good too in this book. Because again, contemporary romance struggles, a lot of times we have like a guy that you just don't know that much about. And it's just like, okay, he's like the grumpy guy, or, you know, he's, I don't know, like there's some trope about like who he is, but I have a hard time being like obsessed with the characters in a lot of these contemporary romance books, like I am in fantasy. And I think like this one, I'm like, okay, like he's my book boyfriend of the year. I really think like so far, like he's taken the cake for me. And I'm like, wow, like I'm very surprised this is coming from contemporary romance. Yay.
Yay.
So I will for sure be adding more Christina Lauren to my TBR. For sure.
Absolutely. Like, y'all, I can't recommend this book enough. For me, it was a 5-star read. Like, it was a 5-star read for me, especially when it comes to this genre. Because I agree. I thought Liam was, again, also so well written. And again, I think it, like, I don't know if it was the, like, every character had depths.
Mm-hmm.
Anna had depth, Anna Green. Anna had depth. Liam had depth. They both had their own wants and desires and their reasons for doing things. Liam wasn't just like a like grump that, you know, was very like serious, and Anna Green was just like the fun-loving, quirky artist. Like they both truly, I feel like, were written in such a way like you got to know them both as individuals and understand why they were even attracted to each other in the first place. I think that's another thing that sometimes we can have a hard time, at least I do, with contemporary romance. It's like, okay, I get the grumpy sunshine. I get the grumpy sunshine thing, but it's like, what more? Like, why is this grump so in love with the sunshine, right? Like,
yeah,
they're so opposite. Like, what do they actually, like, how do they actually come together besides that they're like both hot and they, you know, had like this like instant attraction towards each other? I think Christina Lauren did such a great job with that for Liam and Anna.
Totally. I think, you know, and that is another thing exactly, is like convince me that these two people actually belong together and are compatible. And again, that might be like being women in our 30s who have been there, done that, in terms of like been with people that, you know, we just were leading with our hearts or something. I don't know. Not our minds. So
Not our minds.
So
our
like,
frontal lobes were not developed.
That is the correct way to put it. Yes. Our frontal lobes are now developed. And so there's just other things that we like satisfied us as a reader.
Totally. But yeah, y'all definitely check out Paradise Problem. Totally. And like, I'm really grateful too, because it really, at first, I was nervous because I'm like, I'm literally writing a contemporary romance and I'm not even liking the things in my genre. Like what's happening? Like what's going on? Because I also, though I love romantasy, I'm like, I am like not ready for that. I also like, I don't think I can write war. Like I'm not a girl that, I don't want to write a battle scene. I don't want to write about Rune biting off Baxian's hand. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If like I was to ever write fantasy, it would have to be like a cozy, like, I don't know, fairies. Like, I don't know what the conflict, like, I have no idea what the conflict would be. And I guess that's why fantasy's so like war and like battle driven, but I'm like, I'm not that girl. So I'm like such a contemporary romance girly, and I bring my little like magical elements into that. But like, yeah, I'm really happy that also, because I need more than Emily Henry too. Like I love Emily Henry, but like we need more than just Emily Henry. So the fact that we found Christina Lauren and she has a giant backlist, like they have so much to like dive into. I'm really excited for whenever we do another palette cleanser, so we can get into some of that.
If any of you are listening and have contemporary romance recommendations for us, please let us know. We would
Please.
love recommendations. Clearly, we're having a little bit of a struggle. So if you think you can like cure our woes and you're screaming like, you've got to read this person, like Abby Jimenez, have heard only good things about this woman and definitely excited to read her. But if you have like any other recommendations, we want to hear them.
Absolutely. I did buy Just for the Summer, so I'm really excited for us when we do get to summertime, because like obviously we're gonna read that in the summer.
Yeah.
We are mood readers as much as we are like fantasy is a year-round thing. Always in the mood for fantasy. But when it comes to the contemporary romance, I think it's nice to have like mood reader vibes. So like we'll probably do like some beach reads in the summer. Well, maybe we'll try again for a fall fucking romance. Who knows?
Maybe.
I did see that Christina Lauren does have a Christmas romance though. So I think we'll have to make our way to that too, because our Christmas romance was such a fail. This last time around. But I think, is this it? Did we say everything that we had to say?
I think we did. So we would love if you would subscribe or follow wherever you love to listen to podcasts. We are on most of them. You'll be able to find us. We'd love if you would leave a review if you're a fan. That would mean the world to us. And, our next episode that's coming out, we'll be doing Fourth Wing. So super excited about that. Anything else, Megan?
Yeah, like, subscribe, share, get your book besties together. Let's all read together. Definitely follow us you can follow both Chris and I on Instagram, Chris at Flourishing Reader, me at Megan Unbound. Chris also has a Substack, and where she like hardcore like reviews and recaps all of her books, and they're incredible. Definitely go check that out. Anyone that loves more astrology stuff, I just created I have a newsletter going over like monthly forecasts and how as creatives we can work with each season. So you can subscribe to that below as well. Yeah. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for Fourth Wing. Literally, I didn't really tell you yet, but I did tell you. I'm 6 chapters into Iron Flame.
Okay.
And I'm really excited. Yay. I'm so excited. Y'all definitely of course we'll post it on Instagram too, but yeah, our next episode is going to be Fourth Wing, and then we're going into like the 3 books of Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. So if y'all haven't read them yet, or you want to do a cute little reread or just get prepared, we are going to dive into the Empyrean series next, and I'm literally so excited.
Yay. Me too.
All right, y'all. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.